friends, welcome to We the Weary World. I'm Jackie Lee Howard, and today's guest is Chef Brooke Preston. She has so much to offer. This is a continuation of our conversation, so please go back to episode 1 if you haven't heard it already. Please keep going. Love ya! After I left a mental health facility last year, you checked in on me and you invited me to some of your new teaching. And I think they're the best they've ever been. The amount of collective healing that's happening in the comfort of people's lives, I think is so vital and just as important as it was in Del Paso Heights in a rundown restaurant, serving the most beautiful food. I think all of that you can put in a package, which you have been doing.
What we were able to accomplish, even with all of our own personal dysfunction, right?
Yeah.
We were able to impact just by showing up in our imperfection and doing our very best. And I'm seeing the ripple of that now. So none of that was ever, just because we were not in a sustainable pathway, we were still building a foundation that ripples into lives today. And I see it every day. I see it every day. And
100%, Brooke. That is so true.
And I'm really grateful that we get to be witnessing pieces of that.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, I agree. I don't believe that anything is wasted ever in life. I believe that what I gained from that experience is an understanding of my own self. I love to serve people, but it's led me to doing this, I think. Like it's all created pieces of myself that I feel so proud of today. There's always praises being sung about that time because it was such a vital time in my life too. I really had just overcome a eating disorder, and really what you talked about self-love, I so relate to. Like people would say that, and I couldn't wrap my head around what that meant because I had such a deep disdain for the body that I existed in, and still food addiction, and the mental health struggles that come with disordered eating. And you came into my life and just sort of transformed the way that I looked at my body, how to nurture it. Like I mentioned, you had a restaurant in Del Paso Heights, and on our block would be people living on the street, unhoused, struggling with addiction, struggling with mental illness. And I think what you helped me understand, without compassion and understanding, what are we as human beings? I'm not even going to tell all the stories that I witnessed you at the Green Boheme, like feeding people and giving people jobs. And I mean, the things that you have offered to people who are sick and suffering. You just helped me understand that there's more to life than just what you're witnessing, that they have a story, they have a soul, they've seen immense struggles. And underneath all of that, there's this beautiful human being. It comes with a lot of stumbles. A lot.
Yes.
I mean, especially loving someone in your home who struggles.
It's a walk of compassion. It is very hard to see people suffer.
When I started going to Al-Anon and realizing every single thing that they're telling me not to do, I'm checking the freaking box. I was the ultimate enabler. And once I started changing that, he changed. And it wasn't right away, but there were changes, ripples, like you said. But more importantly, it changed the way that I navigated my life in regards to his struggles. Because my happiness was like an umbilical cord attached to him. If he was suffering, I was suffering.
My partner that struggled with severe mental illness and addiction was one of the most challenging, and I navigated as best as I could, but it's there's no, there's no formula. Compassion,
Mm-hmm.
being present as best as you can. It has to be without expectation of a behavior changing, and it doesn't always mean that there's healing. I don't have that relationship in my life today. And it was, I mean, there were times when I became so influenced by his behavior, which was not entirely in his control,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not at my best
Mm-hmm.
on many occasions. So it's a walk of tenderness, and sometimes love is best served in absence.
Al-Anon really taught me the understanding of detachment with love, and learning that sometimes love is taking a step back. There's also a term I love, that giving them the dignity to fail, allowing that space for them to, yes, stumble and maybe reach rock bottom, but protecting them from that bottom is not serving either of us. And thank you for saying that healing doesn't always happen. People may not ever get sober, or people may never get the help they need. I think you and I both have found that peer groups really helped us navigate that time. There's a lot of shame that I experienced, and I think a lot of people experience. I felt great shame over who I became in those darker moments. And there's a whole lot of healing that has to happen. And it's also given me perspective on my own mental health struggles and what that's meant for people who love me. Wow, wow, wow. I could talk to you all day about this, but why don't we move to a little bit of a lighter note? Because this is something I've been so looking forward to hearing from you, because all of us, all the peoples, need to know what in your mind is the perfect day of nutrition and self-care.
Oh boy. Let me just say that nutrition plays a enormous role in how we feel about our life and our bodies and ourselves and our freedom. Nutrition is really, in my humble opinion, the first drip that can ripple through and speak life into your life and bring you into a whole new construct. It literally raises your vibration. And in that, we are able to do the deeper work as we have that kind of energy available to us. An ideal day nutritionally, I could probably spend about 10 hours on this, but because I like to give background, I like to share why. So we live in a world with a lot of toxicity today. One of the biggest hits to our world and our health is glyphosate. And glyphosate is an active ingredient in a very common herbicide that has become an additive in our food for the last 30 years without our knowledge. We are coming into understanding of that today, but we now have glyphosate in our soil, in our air, in our water, in our rain. I mean, it is part of our existence on planet Earth today. What it does is it it causes injury to our microbiome. And our microbiome is the gatekeeper between the outside world and well-working vessel. It's a very fine mesh. And when we have a glyphosate injury, our immune system is challenged. Our hormone balances are challenged. That includes our mental health hormones. Most of that is manufactured in our gut. And so when there are imbalances because there's been a lot of injury, we're suffering unnecessarily. So that now must be remediated for us to truly live in the vitality that we were meant to live in. So I use a product that removes glyphosate out of the gut microbiome and repopulates the gut with good bacteria. Because a lot of people don't realize this. They may have cravings for foods that aren't supportive of them. There might be an emotional component, but I promise you, it is not so much. People get this idea, well, I'm weak because I want sugar all the time, or I'm weak because I have these cravings for French fries or whatever it is. The truth is that our gut microbiome, if we have bacteria that is unsupportive, overpopulating the good bacteria, and we're producing too much cortisol and we're producing the hormones that are more fight or flight related, we're going to crave things that are not supportive. There may be some emotional ties there, but it's typically far less than what people think. We like to judge ourselves.
That's so interesting. Wow.
So when we remove the glyphosate out of our gut and we repopulate the good bacteria, things start to come into balance. So that's the number one thing that I can say that is, I think, the most important piece of our nutritional support. And then having a tremendous download of nutrients in a form that the body can absorb. Because way back in the day, we were gardening and we were pulling some things from our garden. Things weren't as packaged. Things weren't as engineered. There wasn't as much toxicity. That old recommendation, you need 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Fruits and vegetables with all of their colors are indicating phytonutrients. Phytonutrients and micronutrients are what move the scale of our health and calm our central nervous system and bring enzymes into the body, which are life. So you feel more alive when you eat more live food. There's an energy frequency associated with that. So in today's world, because we have some depleted soils and we have some very interesting ways in which we transport food from all over the place, our farming practices are, there's a lot of monocrop. There has been this introduction of the herbicide. And so there's a lot of issues around getting that kind of nutrient density. So we now need to take in about 50 servings of fruits and vegetables in order to get that same amount that we might have gotten 60 years ago. How do you even do that? I mean, I've tried to chew that and your jaw hurts and it takes all day. So I do a very designed superfood shake every single day. And I get my nutritional needs met with that. That's my baseline. That is my 100% baseline. And I'm also taking some pre-digested amino acids that help with your brain, help hydrate your skin and your muscles and all of that. If I had a diagnosis that I was trying to heal, I would 100% go back to either 100% raw vegan, or I would be only juicy. Mm-hmm. And allowing my body to heal itself with high density nutrients and lots of enzymes. So, I mean, there's more to it than that, and everybody's severity is different. But I healed my own dis-ease through doing that. And I know so many people that have. Today, because I have this beautiful superfood resource, I do that. And with that, I don't have to get out a juicer. I don't have to wash the juicer. I don't have to go and find the produce and ask all the questions of all the farmers. How are you preserving your harvest? Because bugs and molds and pesticides and all of these things are part of our equation. I still ask those questions, but that volume of produce, for me to be able to operate in my life, I would much rather go to a trusted source of good, clean superfoods and boost all of that in my system without, I mean, like in the 5 minutes it takes me to put that together, instead of the investment. And it's a lot less expensive. And I travel a lot. So it's a portable option for me. In my world, that is my baseline nutrition. That drips into your self-love. When you take time to pre-think and pre-create for yourself, you're doing something really beautiful for your future self. And you're feeling better. That doesn't mean we don't go out to restaurants. Mm-hmm. It just means that we do that not as our default.
Right.
I primarily eat vegan today. I do have some cooked food, kind of a hybrid of cooked and live food once a day. And I have a nice meal, and it's super satiating, tons of flavors, tons of energy, but it's a meal that is digestible to more than just a raw vegan. Mm-hmm. And so I can share that and be delighted with others and have that available. And it works really well. It works really, really well, because I know I've already had all the enzymes and the nutrients that I need in my shake. If I wanted to up-level my energy and regain the kind of energy that I had back at, the restaurant in the early days when I was 100% raw and able to work those 18-hour days, I know where to go. I'd go completely back to all raw vegan diet. Or like I said, if I had some kind of diagnosis.
Okay, friends, we're going to pause one more time and see you next week for the last segment of this conversation. I want to thank Chef Brooke Preston for this candid conversation, and for all of you listening. I hope you can be gentle with yourselves this week and do something fun. Love you.